All right. Well, we just finished almost an hour show, and it was a ride, don't you think, Diana?
Yes, absolutely.
But we made it through. And if you watch this next episode, know that there are some places that you get pulled that are uncomfortable. But I promise you, if you make it to the end, it's so worth it, right?
Absolutely. And as the one that went through the darkness, I legitimately feel light now. And I didn't start in the darkness. We went to some places where my darker thoughts can go. And we pulled back out of it, remembering that we are eternal beings in no time and space, choosing our own timelines as long as we hold our frequency in the direction we want to go. And just always remembering that is key.
I love you. Thank you so much. We know that healing comes from the inside out, and our quantum realm is what we're exploring.
Hello, and thank you for joining us during this collaborative human design journey. We will be bringing you this video podcast on multiple platforms, including Substack and YouTube. I'm Dyanna Marie from Transcending Ascension, here joined with...
And I'm Tah Groen with Living Our Human Design. I am a manifesting generator. Manifesting generators are like racehorses that need this focused guidance. I'm a 6-3 profile. I have 2 open centers, the root center and the emotional center.
And I'm a projector with an open throat center who's also a martyr investigator. So this brings me great joy to find out our human design information and how we can build ourselves a better selves using this amazing map that's been gifted to us from the universe.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I know that you will enjoy all of our content.
I hope you will enjoy being here with us because we are truly enjoying putting this together for you. Hello, and thank you for joining us today on this continued human design journey. I'm Dyanna Marie with Transcending Ascension, here with Tah Groen. How are you doing today, Tah?
Oh, I'm doing great. This is something that I look forward to. I'm enjoying getting to know you, Diana. I feel so comfortable, and I know that our relationship is just growing. And that's what I love about this, because it's an experience. It's about the experience and giving this real interaction dynamically with absolute guidance from my projector that you are. So I love this. Thank you so much.
And I love this, getting to talk to you. I've been interested in human design, and I didn't mention at the beginning, Tah is with livingourhumandesign.com. She's a human design expert. She actually studied at the school. The creator, what's his name? It's complicated.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So it's Ra Urufu, and Lynda Bunnel was the first woman who he appointed to organize the International Human Design School. And so I was able to study directly from Lynda, the second graduating class of the International Human Design School back in 2006.
That's awesome. Did you ever get a chance to meet him?
Online, not in person. Yeah.
That's exciting.
So he came into our Zoom, and we were just getting started doing all of the online courses and all of that stuff. So it was really a neat time to have been introduced to human design. Have all my old spiral books, whereas now everything's so digital.
Oh,
but I was,
yes.
Purchasing those books, and yeah, I still have a big pile of them.
I love it. Yeah, and all the real teachers are passed on, because he's passed on too, hasn't he, now?
Yeah, it was a shock for sure. Yeah. But no, there's a few teachers that have passed that, but a lot of us are still here.
Yes. Yeah, and that's so fantastic that you get to be one of the people there on the ground floor, like getting to experience that. 'Cause I just know I'm jealous. In my own school, I went to the University of Metaphysics in Sedona, although I did it online as well. Our teacher, Paul Masters, had passed on in the early 2000s. So not that long ago. We were alive at the same time, but I missed it. And everybody talks about how benevolent and wonderful he was. So I feel that I would have loved to get to meet your teacher. You know what I mean? That's so profound. And it's rare nowadays, you know, with videos and the higher people being untouchable, and like they're just, you know what I mean? Like we lack that proper schooling, which is why I like doing this with you. I'm all about learning and growing in the spiritual world. And YouTube's got like a lot of channelers and a lot of people that are saying all kinds of things, where we need some grounded focus to actually help us ascend in a logical way that's going to benefit humanity. And, you know, the Galactic Federation sounds great, but what are we going to do on the ground floor right here? And human design is where it's at. And right now, this leads me to my first question, because we were talking last time on autism, and in the real world right now, autism is a growing, I would call it an epidemic, because as much as I love my son, imagining him as a grown man acting the way he does is frightening. And then you take him and you times it by millions, and it's mostly in boys. Girls can have it too, but they present way differently. It's a whole different ball game. But the men, like, imagine millions upon millions upon millions of men running around. I mean, my husband worked at a psych ward for a while, and it was filled with, unfortunately, just autistic men. And they just couldn't, their parents couldn't do it because of that. And so if we could find some kind of refuge in human design to help other parents with autistic children, if there's something we can, because I believe spirituality can heal him. I believe in miracle healings like that, but it's usually more complicated than just going heal, you know. But I feel like we could find the way, and we have the map. So did we want to show the people Andrew's map?
Wow, that was profound. For some reason, I'm just getting all these tingles all over me with this truth that I think you are sharing, that is not beyond reality. I think that this is something that can possibly be true. You know, that this miracle healing and this way of interweaving in a healthy way our autistic population, right, into our it
Fabric
has
of
purpose.
reality.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fabric of reality. It has purpose and it has meaning, and I just got goosebumps all over my body because of the truth in that. So wow, yeah, you always
Yes.
surprise me. You always surprise me. That was good.
Well, it surprises me. As you know, it hits out of nowhere.
That's so
One
good.
thing you mentioned, which I think goes into the autistic problem, and I can't remember the exact channel, but you said that there's something that he gets almost excused from societal ways. There's something where he's protected from the collective, and how it mentioned there was a couple different channels that talked about how he's going to go against the grain of society in do you remember those channels where
Right. Yeah,
he
I'm clicking on them right now, trying to see, because if we look at the design, sun and earth, that's
Mhm.
70% of who he is in his body. And then if we look at the personality side, this is what he came into the world as a mind. We call this the mind, and it's who we think we are. So for those that aren't familiar with human design, all the black data and words represent the eternal spiritual self that comes here over and over again. If you believe in reincarnation, this is something that doesn't change. It's who we know we think we are, right? And what happens is that we need to come into a physical body, and then what is going to dominate? Or the forced marriage between the two is what's going to dominate. So we have the red activations and the black activations. And when we first brought this up, I showed Dyanna the body side, the design side, and so I'm not sure which one you're referring to, but let's start from the design sun. So we have the gate of assimilation. And where is this gate? Because this is like a circuit board. So where is that 23rd gate? It's right here in the throat. And it's in this channel of structuring. So all of the concepts from the mind get to come down and be structured. And Andrew's on the cross of explanation. So this is all of who he is. He's here to, yeah. And we don't need to say explanation needs to be in words, because it's not, it's energetic. So
Yes. And
even
that's
though
what
even though he's nonverbal, this we're looking at something that is energetic. So go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's okay. Because I've noticed his place in life, and it's with. At first, it was just we thought it was just for me and my husband because we had ego to shed because we're interested in ascension and we're happy and open to find all our problems because especially as a projector, you don't know yourself. You don't get to know who you are. I don't know if that's all projectors or just me, but I don't get to know who I am. I can know who other people are. So Andrew can help us show our ego glares. But I've noticed now that he's in school for the last few years and now that he's getting bigger, we're seeing that flare up with other people. We notice it in public. We're noticing it everywhere where people are hit because we live in a world where this should be done. This is how it's done. I want it this way. It's, rules, rules, rules. But I'm all for a functioning society where we don't, murder and cause mayhem, but we've gone a little rigid with societal rules. And Andrew comes in and just puts people on blast. He just takes that ego, rigid routine that most humans have, especially in the school system when you're teachers and EAs and all that stuff. And he takes it and blasts it right open. And but he's such a sweet little angel. He's a sweet little angel that does nothing but love. But he'll do crazy things like he'll pick up something and smash it, and he'll paint and he'll water. He'll just mess with your stuff and he won't stop. So you have people getting, that's mine, don't break it. That's mine. That's mine. And you get this real realization of why am I getting so like this is a sweet little angel. So you don't let yourself get mad. And it just really like unravels that human ego, like what's it called, the shell that we're all just encompassed in, and opens it up to be like, okay, I'll let this happen because you're you.
Because of the limitations of his abilities and the the softness that he brings. Yeah, the softness, because you must acquiesce. You must acquiesce because there's no option. And so where is that in the chart is what you had asked. And I think it now that I'm remembering, I'm thinking it was on that mind side, the gate 4, the energy of to beguile and succeed despite ignorance, freedom from retribution, and irresponsibility, the general refusal to apply oneself diligently when one can get by with much less effort, where art is more valued than the artist, the potential to enjoy the formulas with no regard to their practical application, and then the potential to justify such a process in order to maintain it. Is that the one you were thinking about?
Yes, because I can just see that, like the artist that cares about the art. Like when you do math and they would make people show your work. Why? I answered the problem. Andrew's like that. Like he's not going to follow the rules. He's going to live life correctly. The artist. He is beautiful. Everything he does is just I don't want to say wonderful because he wrecks a lot of stuff, but he is beautiful and he is wonderful. And him and himself and his soul, like he is walking art. And the way he does and the way he sings his song, he's going to live his life, but he's not going to follow the rules on how to do it. But he is a good person. He's following, I want to say, God's rules. He's 7, so we'll see. But so far so good. Like he is a sweet boy. He's going to make waves, and he's going to teach people to get out of their heads, and that your structured way of how to handle things is because life is art. That's why I like that. Life is art.
Yeah, so that's what you saw in this line 3, which is all about trial and error. And we're remembering that this 3 is that trial and error, is that chaos, and is that uh, adaptability, flexibility, experimentation. So all of that is in that gate of logic. This is a logical circuitry. This is not abstract. I mean, he's got some abstract over here on that side, but the dominant definition is more of a logical, linear way of processing thoughts. And so, can you speak to any of that? Do you see some of that circuitry in him, that logical mind?
We hoped so. When he was early, when we figured, and he did the whole lining stuff up when he was like a toddler, like that's an autistic thing. We'd hoped he'd be like Aspergery. We could see that working out, but he ended up just regressing more because he used to sing songs back then, so he knew words. He'd sing Itsy Bitsy Spider, Hickory Dickory Dock. I wish I filmed them more, but then it slowed down and then stopped. So because he does not talk, he could be the most logical person in the world. There was something else in one of his channels, trial and error, something along those lines, where he'll keep working at it till he succeeds. There was one of the channels that mentioned something like that, and he absolutely does do that when he wants something. So candy or whatever, it's usually a food item. He will do whatever it takes to get it. So I could put it on the highest shelf. He'll go get chairs. He'll put something on the chair. Like, he will do whatever he has to do to succeed. And he usually does. So he just doesn't stop. Whatever he wants. If he wants water, because he really likes playing on water, he will never stop. He'll go from thing to thing to thing and figure it out.
Right. Okay. So that's what I'm talking about. That is a logical, linear path way of thinking, and it dominates so it's like step one, okay, step two, okay, so it's just like, that is what I was talking about. That's the circuitry of the mind. Whereas the abstract, if you had the other side, it would find shiny object syndrome and go to the next thing. But the linear logical path is what you're witnessing there, when he's very determined to go and find the first, second, third, fourth step to get what he wants, which is the 4323, which is I want, I know, you can't buck the current of a 4323. They want what they want.
Yes, I try to tell them, that's one of the things I try to tell them at school. They're like, he has to get what he wants, or you have to distract him to want something else, is all you can really do, because he will cry for days, really.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's right there. The circuitry is there. Isn't it fascinating? I mean, it really is. You cannot change the mind of a 4323. They just know that they know. I know, I know, I know. And they may know or they may not know, but they think they know.
Oh, yes.
So that's what, yeah, when the more you know about human design, the more you realize that it's just the design speaking. It's just coming out in manifestation through these channels that are specific. One is the logical circuitry, and then one is that individual mutative on a pulse. It's on and then maybe it's off, but it is individual, unique, mutative. It transforms, and you cannot buck the current of an individual being. So yeah, was that helpful?
Extremely, extremely. And I love that. And I hope all parents hear this, because this is how we started when we originally talked about my daughter. Because you could be like, why are you like this? Why are you like this? And go crazy because you think your kids, sometimes I don't know about you, but sometimes it feels like they're out to get you, especially my Gemini daughter. But then you learn these things. It's like, no, she just needs more time and I need way less time. Like, so we're on the opposite ends of spectrums. And it's the same here now with Andrew. Like, no, and I already figured with him, I thought it was the autism, but here we go. No, it's human design.
Yeah.
And if you look at this, you can understand your children better, deal with them better, and not, because as a mother, like, you build resentment whether you want to or not, especially at the ages mine are, like 8, 7, and 4. 4 was the worst age ever for each of my children. I don't know what is up with the number 4, but it's hard.
So
So
my
this
mind,
is
yeah. So I don't mean to interrupt, but I just had a hit. So my mind, I have a very strong mind, as you guys already know if you've been watching. This is me. So I have this 63-4, this logical circuitry, and then I also have the abstract. So when we're looking at Andrew, the way to get to him is through this logical pathway. So having systems in place that make sense to him. As a mother, you now know that you can appeal to the behaviors through this logical stream in the mind. Is there any way that you're probably already doing this the way you had shared with us last time, that he likes these certain stations and you have them very
Yeah.
strategic and set up and in a logical way that appeals to his logical mind?
Yes. I
You
didn't even
see
know there
that?
was a logic thing. It's Andrew and I don't have that problem, and he's the one that doesn't talk. So that's hilarious. Andrew and I don't know if it's because he's a projector or so magic, but we pretty much talk psychically, and like there's no conversation, but I know what he wants pretty much all of the time. It's very rare but I don't know what he wants. And he equally usually knows what I want. And we just work really well together.
And literally, I'm putting up your chart. It's because you're telepathic. You can amplify his logical mind. You see that? You are picking up on
Oh,
his thoughts. He is defined head and ajna, right? So all of this is impacting your open mind. And of
so I
course,
can
you're going to be,
oh, that's
yeah,
interesting.
that's how you're picking up on how he's thinking. Of course you are. Your mind is open. You're amplifying anything that's going on. Any frequencies that are happening in his mind are coming into your mind, and you're amplifying them and interpreting them, inspired by them, and can figure out what he needs based on this.
That's yeah, that sits. I thought so too, but I never like to toot my own horn because I also see that in the world. Oh, I know what you're thinking. Like you see that a lot. So I'm always like, oof, I never like to say it. But with him, it's so off the charts that I'm like, I try to tell my husband, like, no, I clearly know what he wants.
Right. And then notice the 47th gate here. You have the other side of Andrew's abstract mind, right? So that is an electromagnetic that also has power. It's a connection that is in sync as well. So you have an electromagnetic defining the head as well for you, impacting your head. Does that make sense? It's like a pieces of a puzzle.
We do feel like that. So much so that like I feel like I truly know him more, like know him. And I know we're supposed to have known our children and stuff in the past, but with him, I feel like I viscerally already remember. Like I don't remember the story that we had, but I remember him like I've known him for hundreds of thousands of years. Like he's not new. With the other two, it's like I love them just the same, but I feel like I'm figuring them out. With him, no, like we're soul buddies,
Yeah.
like
It's really
beyond.
powerful. I can feel the frequencies with between you two. It's just I'm getting little flutters. I mean, the people are listening going, "Oh, they're so woo woo," but this is what this human design is about. It's frequencies, and we're tapping into each one of these individuals. You, when we're looking at Diana's chart, we're feeling all of her frequencies, which is a strong ego, defined to her identity and then to her body. Can feel that. And then when we come to Andrew, we know that he's in his head. He's in his head logically, and he's got this strong, well, unconscious, but we feel it. Anything that's red, we can feel more so than the actual individual. If that makes sense. Did that make sense, Diana? So like the unconscious, I can see in you, but you can't necessarily see in yourself as much as the black. So
So
yeah,
black
so
is unconscious
no,
and
the
black is
red is not
conscious.
the red is unconscious. So we can see all the red way prevalent. It's the body, it's the vehicle. So I could see your body. I can see your body. I know your body. I feel the essence of your body. when we get to the personality side, this is the conscious, this is the mind. So this is where we identify more with ourselves. So it's up front and center, it's our conscious, it's who we think we are. And then the unconscious is something that we have to get used to and uh, grow into and mature into the awareness of these aspects of ourselves. So then when we look at Andrew, we know that he thinks he's all mind and that it's harder for him to access this the channel of structuring and getting it out. Does that make sense? Because that's kind of how
Yes. Oh,
human design
100%.
works.
The system I use, pink is unconscious and blue is conscious.
Oh,
So
on
it's
your
different.
software system. Okay, on your software system. Yeah,
Yeah, I
whatever's
use
on
an
the
app.
yeah, whatever's on the left side is unconscious. Whatever's on the right side is the conscious or the mind. So it is that is the whole gist of human design, to understand that we are not just the personality or the mind or the conscious, but we have to honor the vehicle, which is the unconscious. And when they come together, they make a forced marriage, right? Of like
Heros Gamos. That's what I'm
yeah.
always teaching my people is the masculine feminine union. So that's the answer for everything. So I love that. I found personally with my chart, when I got to know the unconscious, it showed me things I didn't realize. I knew they were, but you think of things as just wishy. But then once I knew that was there, it helped me formulate a self better, like a more structured, you know what to keep and you know what to throw out. You know what I mean? When it comes to structuring and building up a better, more, I'm always, that's a Sag, I'm always obsessed with getting better and being better. It's never ending. It's always going to be, honestly, until I'm actually doing magic. Like, I'm not going to stop.
I love you. Right. And again, Diana's speaking from her 2551, which is wanting to be first, wanting to move humanity up into the echelons of like evolution first. And then the body, tribe, knowing what the tribe needs to get that warrior energy, spiritual warrior energy out. So she's speaking from all of this, the unconscious that might have been more tricky, and what you were just talking about, like throwing um you said something about the unconscious, and what does that mean to you? You were saying something about that.
That I know it's real, that I know it's an actual part of me that should be honored. And whether it's good or bad, I know it's real. And that's to be honored. And this might be because I'm all my open centers and picking up so many other people's information, but I
Right.
actually have to decipher, what do I think and what does somebody else think? Because I am very, like, a lot of the times, like, now I'm way better. But once upon a time, young 20s Dyanna didn't even exist.
Right. And that's because of this unconscious. That's what I wanted to clarify is, what were you talking about? You were talking about your sixth, because this is all mechanics and we're always speaking from our chart. So Diana was speaking from the sixth gate, which is unconscious, and this 36th gate on an open emotional center. So imagine how confusing this must have been, because this is part of your purpose, your unconscious purpose, which we can see in you, but it's harder for you to access, just to recap. And then it only gets lit up when you are in vicinity of somebody with a defined center colored in, or the transits. Like, this is a house with its shutters closed, and they only get opened unless they get activated or impacted by somebody. Does that make sense?
Oh, 100%. Yes.
So that's
Yeah.
kind of a big deal, having 70% of who you are, the sixth gate and this 36, on an open center. Harder to access on multiple levels. Yeah,
Yes. No, that
unconscious.
definitely holds true. Absolutely. One thing I wanted to ask, and I don't know if you can answer, but just for our autistic parents of now and the future, is there anything in Andrew's chart that you could have saw when he was a tiny baby and predicted that he'd be autistic?
Oh my gosh, that's a crazy and difficult question, because it's obviously going to be no. Of course not. No, no.
So it's because it's, remember we talked I think after the show last time of what's cosmic and what's poisoning, because the kids are being poisoned left, right, and center these days from like everything that people are told. I was at I took my son to this baby group this morning, and they're talking about putting their babies on milk at 1, and breastfeeding was just off the table. They're talking different formulas and stuff. And I was just like, oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah,
You guys don't see what's happening. The kids are all
yeah.
getting poisoned. And I worked against my kids getting poisoned, and they still got poisoned.
Hmm.
Like,
Hmm.
so it's,
This
this
is
is,
Yeah, this is a hot topic for me. You're speaking to somebody who hasn't vaccinated any of her children. I gave birth at home to my 3 babies, so I am with you, but it is a delicate topic for sure. And I do want to say that not all autism is due to any to that.
vaccine. Well,
Not
yeah, my
all.
kids aren't
Yeah,
vaccinated either. My kids
right.
aren't vaccinated either. They talked me into the vitamin K shot when they were born because I still regret it, but I don't know if it was that. They blah, blah, blah'd me into saying yes. But I had midwives. I did deliver at the hospital because I got scared out of but I did wife at the hospital. So I feel you. And I try to be as organic as possible. I told you I ate gluten during his pregnancy, and I'm allergic to gluten. That's what I think possibly did it. And it's
No,
because I knew
and I
better.
right, but I
The
want to
hormones.
I know, but I want to share with you the fact that Ra talked about these new children coming in, and that we are in a transition time, and that this form and the new energies need to be shaken up, and the transition is not comfortable. And so there's that aspect of it as well, that this is natural, this is evolution, this is how we're transforming the energies on the planet. Yes, I do agree that we are bombarded by toxins, and it affects the delicate boys especially, but we also don't know why. I mean, there's order in the chaos. Everything is meant to be. This is exactly as it should be. And that the higher the frequencies are, the more we know that there's no right or wrong, and that all is imperfection.
Oh, it's true. I know the cosmic big picture wise, but it's like you can know two things at once because life is paradox. Like you
Right.
can know this has happened and it's cosmically making everything better, but at the same time, we need to fix it or else we're in for I just imagine, I just can see it like a zombie apocalypse, except instead of zombies, it's like 100 grown autistic men just running up the street, smashing everything. Like if there
Oh,
was
I
so
know.
many
You are
adults.
so you are so on point, and I do not disagree with you. I absolutely agree with you, and I love the fact that there's two opposing points that we can hold at the same time, because that's exactly what we need to do at this moment. And if we can do that, do you know how powerful we are holding those two opposing points at one time? Knowing that there needs to be change, and that our children need to be safe and protected, and 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 that's part of the process.
Yes. Like loving and honoring the ones we have, seeing them as divine blessings in every way they could be because we're still awakening, but then at the same time doing everything we can think of to stop the problem and cure the ones that are here and bring them back. And there's
Yeah, bring
ways.
them back. Yeah, I love that. And so that's how you had started our show today, knowing that uh, through this sort of work that we're doing, the frequency, the elevation of the frequency, and healing in the AI that we have, when we are connected to our divine and sacred high frequency, that healing happens. And then we can go back to our first show. Remember when you were talking about how Andrew just sits on the lap of somebody and looks into their eyes, and that deep transformation that can happen just from that.
It's true. It's true. It's magic. He is magic. It's so many opposing things where I'm like, do I really want him talking and arguing with me like the others? You know, there's something so wonderful. But then at the same time, I want him to be all that he can be. To like, if he's got something to live, I want him to get to live that.
Yeah. And so you had asked the question, could you see if this chart is autistic? No, we could not. There's no way, because we're um
Because there
yeah.
was something in his astrology. He was born during, I think, a Mercury retrograde paired with some other squaring. I forget the exact. It's in his chart. That he would have problems with communication. So that was there in his astrology, which is they bugged me to induce him earlier. So I also think of that because I didn't check his chart till after he was born, and it was that specific day too. I'm like, oh,
Hmm.
that was against inducing.
So
Um,
interesting how we come from the mind. We just want to solve all of this from our mind, and it's it's beyond mind. We can't really figure it out. We're not going to figure it out. It's just the energy of honoring your splenic hit in the moment. I mean, that's all that we have. That's all that we can surrender into. And so Andrew has that gift of giving you um your evolutionary, you know, moment of, I mean, all I can say is that there's order in the chaos, and this is perfection.
yeah. Yes, that is awesome. I do have like yeah, I imagine bringing him with me like through everything and all the things I imagine for my future. So it's funny if he like can help me like have that mind projection. You know what I mean? Like the
Well,
two of
yeah,
us
I
together.
mean, if you look at that, that's what he's giving you. This energy here is for you. When he's present with you, you get this logical mind, you get this electromagnetic power of abstract, and then you get to pull it down and into the voice. So when that energy is present for you, you're pulling it into the highest frequency, right? Do you see that? See, it's like the missing pieces
Yes.
of the puzzle. It's like he was meant to be here with you, for you.
Hmm.
And he's
Yes,
perfect just as he is.
he is. And he has literally like there's things that have just correlated synchronistically. Like our lives wouldn't be where they are now without him in a good way.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's it. So it's just you softening and knowing that all is perfect just as it is, and that there's no going, oh, I hate gluten, or I did the K shot, or, just to
I
soften
didn't
yourself.
induce.
Yeah.
I
You have a list, a logical list of like,
do that
why?
with everything though. I do that with
I know.
absolutely everything. It's not just
Yes.
him. Anything. I'm
So,
like, well,
so
because
maybe,
it has its benefits, not so much for his birth, but because never to make a mistake again that way. You know, mistakes are
right.
okay, but not twice.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I love it. And, yeah. So that's what I have to say about that. Helping
No, that's
you
fantastic.
just soften and believe that all is in order, and that there's order in the chaos. I mean, we could see it. The pieces of the puzzle fit together so incredibly. How this is awe inspiring when you
Yeah, I
look at
didn't even notice that when I was looking.
yeah, when you look at the pieces of the puzzle and how they fit together. I mean, it's we cannot orchestrate this. I mean, the mind cannot even comprehend this, is what I'm trying to say, of why things are the way they are. And our job is just to stay in the highest frequency possible. And for you, it's splenic, being in this splenic inner authority. I'm trying to get your chart again. There it is. Being in this hit of the body and staying in the present moment, and not going up into the mind and having all those stories that will pull you off the awareness of your splenic hits. like staying
Oh yeah.
present here in that inner authority of a whisper of knowing, of instinct for your body. And then the outer authority always is for enlightenment of others, enlightenment of others. Am I having something enlightening to say? Right, yes, of course, come to my house and enlighten me. So that's what mind is for. So do not turn it inward, Dyanna.
Yeah.
With
It's
all
true. It
of
never ends
those.
well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we all do it. I do it. I mean, look at how dominant my mind is. It's like, it's taken me a lot to come down into, look at mine as unconscious. 5734. This is so unconscious, and I'm cut off. I'm a triple split. So that means that I need a lot of time, a lot of movement in order for my body to surrender into my inner authority, which is sacral. It takes a lot for that mind to shut down and turn off. And but I recognize it now, and I surrender to my sacral response. Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, because I've noticed that even with the splenic, like I have to consciously keep feelers out for it and then learn to try to interpret what it's saying. So it's
Yeah.
a tuning.
Like right now, I could ask you a splenic question. Do you have any, do you want to talk about Andrew? Do you want to talk about your chart? Or do you want to talk about my chart? Which one lights up more for you? Tah, Andrew, or yourself in your
Uh,
spleen?
with my splenic hit, honestly, funny, none of them clicked. So
Okay, so there you go. That means
that's
so that
funny.
means we'll stop sharing. Oh, I love it. But that's how it should work. You're just like, oh, on to the next.
Yes,
Right? What
yeah.
lights your spleen up? What do you want to talk about?
I do that method though. This one or this one?
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's
Well,
a
that was
hot topic.
fantastic. Yeah.
It's a
Well, that
hot
was great.
topic. And it's very delicate because you're not alone. That makes me want to cry.
No, I know. The fact that I'm not
You're
alone is what scares me. Because if I was alone, I could do this. It's fine. But what's the world going to do with millions? That's what scares me, you know? Because I don't think it can handle it. It's our healthcare system. I don't know about yours. Ours is crumbling, like crumbling. It's part of like the breakdown. It's just my husband's a nurse. It's scary how everyone's treated, how they just kick you out as fast as possible. Andrew doesn't have funding right now. Like they have nothing in place. They don't know what they're doing. They're not even thinking about what they're going to do with all these adults. They're not doing any much help for the adults that are there now. I have friends that have 40-year-old autistic kids and they're still taking care of them and they're in their 60s. Luckily theirs doesn't jump around and stuff, but they still have to fully take care of them and they're elderly now. And he's gentler. Could you imagine? Like, that's what scares me. What are these people going to do? You know,
right,
it's,
right.
and then I just don't want them to end up like when my husband worked at the psych ward and the parents, and they were bawling their eyes out, didn't want to do it but they had to.
Had
They
to do
had
what?
to surrender their sons because they tried to, dangerous
Right,
things. So
right,
they just
right,
had to.
right.
So we're dealing with a
So,
big issue
yes.
with societies.
And okay. And so then, uh, yeah, this is a great segue into all of the holistic medicines. I know that, can I share the med beds? What do you
Mhm.
think of med beds coming? And that this is going to be some sort of healing device that will change the way we do healthcare.
I believe the technology is possible. I believe we will see it one day. We're just dealing with when they'll allow us to have it, basically. Like,
Right,
just
right.
just think about how right now they discourage sound healing. They discourage all this stuff that's real. Oh, you're in San Diego, right?
Yeah.
So you're probably seeing a lot more advanced world than the rest of us. When I talked to Sarah the Alchemist, she laughed because she's in LA. She's like, I already live in the future. But for the
Yeah.
rest of us, no, it's pure atheism in Canada, pretty much. Like, if you even go to
Wow,
church as
wow.
a Christian, you're a weirdo. Like, even going to, I just did an interview for someone today, and they're like, I can't work on Sundays, and then they're like, I have church, and they were like weird to tell me that, and I'm like, it's okay to go to church.
Right, right. So we are in this middle place of transitioning into truly understanding that we are the temple and that we can heal from the inside out. Yeah. And that
Yes.
tuning forks and sound healing and frequency medicine, having access to all of that. Um, I'm not saying it can transform autism, but wouldn't it be amazing if it did?
Mhm. Herbs, I use herbs already, like
Hmm.
tons of different, like ashwagandha, valerian root, CBD oil is actually approved for children here. You can get it prescribed. So that's actually a blessing. That's pretty advanced of them. I think they like the tax revenue. That's why they're allowing it. But if they make
Hmm.
money, fine. I'm happy to
Hmm.
have something that's moving in a forward direction because the solutions are possible. It's just whether or not
Hmm.
they're going to be allowed in full access for everybody of any
Hmm.
like life
Hmm.
circumstance.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I'm at this place where I think that it's going to change very quickly. Something has to shift, just like you said, and that we are all waiting for that shoe, the good shoe,
Yes.
the white witch's shoe to come. And I don't know. I'm just the eternal optimist on my sixth line, and knowing that the knowing comes from within, and that.
It's true. I have full hope for humanity eventually, but I think realistically we're looking at a couple hundred years of unless we could think about it, a more dramatic thing would mean a more dramatic fall. Like if we want our lives to stay more or less stable, but then still have these things come in, they're gonna have to come in slower because bigger will mean like what's that usually mean, right? Like full on.
Chaos, a lot of
Mhm.
chaos, a lot of destruction, a lot of the floods coming to Noah's
Mhm.
Ark, the few of us that have the Noah's Ark. I gotcha. But I think
Yeah.
that might be something that's going to, but we talk about timelines.
Yes. Yes. I'm all about timelines and getting the higher one
Okay.
and the
So we're
faster.
doing a timeline that's a wah wah wah. We're going down into this like frequency when really we are in charge. That frequency that of us connected to our highest,
I
purest, positive self changes the dimensions. Like in that new timeline, in that new quantum place, there are infinite possibilities, and is the key is people like Andrew, who are bringing the divine right down for us to access. That is why we were so I was so blown away by the show, our last conversation, because it is right there. He is the tech, just allowing that space where he can thrive and pull in the highest frequencies that he is without the conditioning of society to hinder him in any way.
yes. That he's definitely doing, like a giant gemstone for real.
Right.
He
Right.
is,
And so
and that
then
makes
that's the dimension you want to go to. That's the quantum realm that we can
I
create.
do. I set my sights
Okay.
on the one where
Okay.
he's talking,
Yes. So, but your mind gets in there, Diana. I hear it. I'm just like, oh my God, stop.
I
Just
know it's
stop.
really that's the one thing
So
where
loud. It's so freaking loud.
when you're like a mother and viscerally doing this stuff every day, it's so easy
Yeah.
to get like spiritual about even the government and all the bigger things. But when it comes to your actual children, that's where it's like, because you're daily dealing with it to hold the desired future while you're daily still changing that
Yeah.
diaper and still cleaning up
Yeah.
the smash and still,
Yeah.
but then still hold, but one day you will talk and not smash everything. Like,
Or even just knowing that he's perfect. Okay. Knowing that his AI, his frequency is exactly as it should be. Okay. That is the highest thought. That's what we want, not the other. Can you hold that thought?
yes. Yes. That he's
Yes.
perfect as he is now, and then he'll stay perfect. That's contingency
Well,
saying, "No, you're
the
still
first part was good. The first
Yeah.
part was good. Stay
The
with that
mind got
first
it.
part. Yeah, the mind got onto the second part, but
I
you
heard
see
myself
how
do
it
that, and I'm
goes?
like, "You can't do
Yeah.
that."
So it's not the mind. It's just the energy. It's just energy. When we go back into your spleen and feel that inner, because I could feel the sacral when my sacral lights up. It feels like what does it feel like? It feels like unlimited possibilities. It feels like there is infinite timelines. I can feel that as truth, and I'm in charge of the game. I'm in charge of the game, and what I resonate is what I'm going to see. Okay, so we go there, and then we know that uh, that our mind can pull us off easily, and so just stop the mind from doing the chatter in the day to day and just go, what is my spleen? Is my spleen getting a hit?
It's true. My
Does this
spleen is
feel,
good. I'm good. It's good. It's
yeah,
the same. It's all love and light, positive future, highest timeline. It's this.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's the mind that gets in the way. And me too, me too. I have so many ideas and so much ambition from my open root, and then settling down into surrender, into clarity and instinct is what human design is all about. It's the energy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Know
I
your
don't know.
role. Know your
I
role.
don't know if any of this was helpful for our viewers, but
No, I
it
think it
was
should be. This is
yeah.
exactly what I want them to see. And hearing like my own where I'm in the lane where I shouldn't be is great because people need to learn to take criticism too. You need to learn to take criticism and let it be. Let it be. Let it be. If you're doing
Yeah.
something wrong and somebody else sees it, take it. And if you don't agree with them, that's okay. But usually
Mhm.
people, especially when like you're talking like we're both very, it's clear we're not petty people. It's clear we're not egoic people. You know what I mean? And when you're talking to somebody that would only have truth, love, and light, take it, listen to it, and
Mhm.
digest it and make yourself better from it, you know?
Mhm. Mhm. And knowing that these habits of the mind to pull us off into doubt, anxiety, worry, and fear does not serve. Even though it may be true in this reality, it is not serving. So we just must tell it to stop and then
It's
go
true.
back into,
Because we don't have to
yes,
stay in this reality.
right. We are in control of our own dimension of time and space. And that's what I'm saying,
I
because we
100%
see,
know that too.
yeah, yeah,
It's where
yeah. And
the
so,
mother part of me, like my mother archetype self, is the one like there's so I'm like, I think archetypes, right? I talk archetypes, I teach archetypes. And you can have enlightened versions of yourself, tons. But then there's ones, and usually it's lower ones. But my mother one, because the mother is like, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, especially when they're still so little, like, oh no. So it's got to get the mother to be like, love and light as a mother. It's one of my biggest things I work on all the time, and it's come so far
right.
too.
And I think can I say what's coming up on that
Hmm.
aspect is that the inner light that we talk about that is so powerful and so profound to change our own reality, that's in your children too. And to trust that they have that as
Yes,
well. They have the same as you.
that's true. To give them that authority. Yes.
Yes, give them control.
I'm
Give
always
them,
telling them that too. I always have,
yeah,
what's your God spark saying if they're doing something
yeah,
bad?
yeah,
What's the God
exactly.
spark saying?
Yeah, because they have the same. They have the same. And that us as mothers, not to micromanage and not to think we know better, because we don't. They
Yes.
know. They know. And so Andrew knows. He knows exactly what he needs, and he knows how to stream in that healing frequency for all of us. And he's doing it. And this is what Ra talked about. This is exactly what Ra talked about, of how that frequency is coming in to shake things up and transform us. Yeah, and this is what it is. So it's perfect just as it is,
Yes,
which
they
is
are
what I
my
keep
absolute
saying.
enlightenment
Yeah.
school.
Yeah. All right. I think that's perfect. I feel
It
a
is.
little bit more uh lightness instead of that wah, wah,
Yeah.
wah that we just went through. Okay. Did we make it? Did
Yeah.
we get through it? Did we process through that? That was awesome. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
So good. So good. I love you.
And I love you. This has been fantastic.
All right, great. That was tough there for a minute. All right, love you.